Hello and welcome friends and family to my video on Bernie Sanders and why I'm going to be voting for him in the 2020 primary. My Bernie video, my Bernie story. So yeah, as you may have guessed, this video is about the reasons why I'm voting for Bernie Sanders in the upcoming 2020 primary. I'm really excited that he's doing so well and that he is running this year. And I am excited to vote for him in the primary, and I wanted to tell you some reasons why and sort of share my thoughts with you, friends and family. So I'm posting to my Frugal Healthy Vegan YouTube channel, but I really think that this video actually works well for that channel because he is our candidate for being frugal for many reasons which I'm about to list, and also for the health of each other, whether it's Medicare for all or for the planet with the Green New Deal. And then also he's the candidate for the vegans, and I have an article that I'll list below explaining why. So anyway, let's talk about my reasons for voting for Bernie Sanders, and let's just get right into it. That because of this strike against Iran, I'm concerned that we're going to continue with these endless wars, and Bernie Sanders does not want wars. He wants to end the wars. He's the only candidate who's been strongly anti-war. After the recent terrible business in Iran, he took the opportunity, which honestly scares me. I don't want to start another war. He took the opportunity to bring up soldiers suffering from PTSD and the need to spend all the money that we're spending on this military on Americans' needs instead of endless wars. And you know, these endless wars really are fueled by our reliance on fossil fuels, which brings me to my next point and reason for voting for Bernie Sanders, and that is because of the effects of climate change and the plan with the Green New Deal. So as fires rage across Australia, killing so many people and causing the extinction of all sorts of wildlife, Bernie's push for the Green New Deal helps us move away from our reliance on fossil fuels. Aside from fueling the endless wars, which is what fossil fuels do, they're also a huge contributor to climate change and global warming, which is causing much of the world to be on fire right now, whether it's Australia or at different times of the year, California, where the wildfires are getting worse and worse every year. You can read more about his policies on his website, but the Green New Deal is also a great modern way to create millions of jobs. And these are exciting jobs. These are jobs that I'm excited to read about and would be interested in learning about and in maybe, you know, increasing my work as a consultant. So the next policy that I'm really excited about is the policy of a living wage. I don't know if you've seen a lot of these social media posts about the 10-year challenge where people post pictures of themselves 10 years ago and then today in 2019 or in 2020. And someone did this recently on Twitter, and they posted the 10-year challenge for the US federal minimum wage. In 2010 it was $7.25, and in 2020 it is $7.25. It is so laughably low that I was making more as a babysitter when I was in high school in the late 90s. Economists at Berkeley recently did a study, and they found no evidence that a large hike in the minimum wage would lead to job loss, but it would, however, lift many folks out of poverty. I know that I personally, when I go out to eat, I always tip well. And when I'm going shopping at the grocery store or, you know, wherever, at Target, I feel terrible that the cashiers and the people who work there are, you know, either making minimum wage or very little above that. I want everyone in this country to have dignity and to not have to live in poverty. And Bernie believes that American workers are long overdue for a raise in minimum wage, and I agree. His fairly recent, as of 2018, Bezos bill, it was called, led to Amazon raising their minimum wage to $15 an hour due to Bernie's really the only candidate who is coming out really strong for a living wage. Okay, so this last policy is really personal to me. You may have guessed it's Medicare for all. It's probably the most personal for me because I started working for myself in 2017 as a consultant running my own LLC. I had to buy myself my own ACA healthcare plan for the first time in my life. I selected the least expensive plan I could find with a high deductible. It's $300 a month here in North Carolina. I think some states have some lower ACA plans, but not by much. And other states have some, much more expensive plans. For that $300 a month, I have a $7,000 a year deductible. So I plan to basically never go to the doctor unless it's basically there as in case of a catastrophic health issue or a massive accident, which, God forbid, either of those things. But I just can't stomach living without it. So I pay for that health insurance. If we had single payer in this country, we wouldn't have such insane healthcare costs. Bernie's plan, which would drop the Medicare age by 10 years the first year he's in office, and then 10 more years every year that he's in office after that. So the first year in office, it would drop to 55, and then to 45 the next year, 35 the next year after that. So within 3 years, I could go on Medicare, which is huge for me and huge for my business. This would mean more folks would feel less tethered to working for offices and to maybe consider entrepreneurship like I do. And also it would help employers who wouldn't be saddled with the costs of insuring their employees anymore. But most importantly, I think, is the fact that single payer would lower medical costs, which have skyrocketed in our country and are just insanely high. So Bernie and Elizabeth Warren are really the only Medicare for all candidates running in 2020. Warren's version of the plan, in my opinion, and in a lot of folks' opinion, is a lot weaker, and she wouldn't start to phase it in until her third year in office, which to me is too late because, then within a year she's running again for re-election. I don't think that's a good plan. Pete Buttigieg did at one point over a year ago, he repeatedly said he was for Medicare for all, but he's completely flipped on that. So the reason for that might be because he gets a ton of cash from donors who run the healthcare industry. So I have an article about that below as well. So in case you're considering Pete Buttigieg, he definitely works for the millionaires and billionaires, in my opinion. So you may be asking yourself, how are we going to pay for all of this free stuff like Medicare for all and increasing wages and all this other stuff, Green New Deal? Rather than saying, how do we pay for these endless wars, which, okay, I guess I just said, I'll say this. Bernie's policy on taxing the extremely wealthy and also taxing corporations that have been getting away with not paying taxes. These are multi-million and billion-dollar corporations like Netflix and Amazon. They pay $0 in taxes each year. So if we started taxing these wealthy people and wealthy corporations, we can easily pay for this. I truly think that Bernie Sanders is the only candidate who is the strongest on all the policy positions. I also think he can win the primary, and I think he can win against Trump. So I'm sending this video out to family and friends, and I know you all are all over the spectrum when it comes to politics. If you plan to vote for Trump in 2020, for economic reasons maybe, I'm not sure. I just want to mention that, in my opinion, Trump does not care about the environment. He doesn't want to raise the minimum wage. He doesn't want to tax the wealthy at all. In fact, he introduced a huge tax break, which you may have thought sounded great, but it really just was a tax break for the incredibly wealthy. It did not trickle down to us. He also, this is a recent thing I just found out, he also has spent $115 million of taxpayer money playing golf since his tenure in the office. And that's just a true story. It's not like political. It's just like that's what he spent. $115 million of our taxpayer dollars have gone for him to play golf and have security there and you know, travel out to those resorts. And a good deal of that money has gone back into his pockets as he owns those resorts where he's golfing. So Trump is the president that the 1% want. I think that the 1% that I'm talking about, or you know, the 1% wealthiest, they would also probably be pretty happy with Pete Buttigieg, who has a huge number of billionaire donors. He's second only to Joe Biden, who also has a large number of billionaire donors. Those billionaire donors are the ones he's told that nothing fundamental needs to change in this country. As the world burns, he's saying nothing needs to change. So yeah, I'm not going to be voting for Joe Biden in the primary. I'm not going to be voting for Pete Buttigieg in the primary. I really hope more people agree with me on that. But why am I making this video? I mean, I don't assume I'm going to be changing any minds necessarily, but I do want to share my thoughts and feedback. And I find it really important to share this because I have been talking to a lot of family and friends. I know it's a touchy subject, politics, but this is a really important time with climate change and this emergency going on. I do tend to talk about politics a lot, and I have found that a lot of my friends and family continue to watch cable news. Understandably, it's what is presented to us. But even if you watched all the cable news channels, so you felt that you were getting a balanced view from MSNBC to Fox News to CNN, those are still all run by corporations and the 1%, and they are only talking about what they want you to know. You're not going to see too many stories, honestly, about climate change or about Americans in poverty or about Bernie Sanders in general doing well in the polls, which he is. I watch a lot of great YouTube channels for some really balanced news, and I will link those below as well. If you want to give them a watch and a listen, they're really excellent resources. I would suggest turning the cable news off because, again, it's owned by corporations. You're not going to be getting valuable information. So I want to thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I'd love to hear your feedback. I'm curious who you're voting for in the primary. Do you plan to vote in the primary? Did you learn anything new in this video that I shared with you today? Let me know. Much love. God bless you all. Thank you.